All right, good evening, everyone. This is Sachin here. We're going to begin now our week number 5 online workshop. Please do note that these sessions are being recorded for the purpose of having them available for all of you online, as well as other people who are not able to make it at this time, but they can review these recordings at a different time. Okay, just one moment here, just to make sure this lighting is there. Okay, very good. So just a quick review of the central concept. Our central concept can be broken down into these 7 parts, and every week we are examining some aspect of the central concept. So today, what we're going to do, if you would open workbook number 1 and write down the sentence in yellow that you see there. So put today's date, please, on there, and then write down the sentence in yellow. That is, revitalized energy permeates every aspect of life, including the 12 dimensions. So we're going to be focusing on this idea today in this week number 5, that revitalized energy permeates every aspect of life, including the 12 dimensions. So take your time and write that down. Don't write anything else yet. And we want to really understand this clearly. As you're writing, I'll just talk a little bit about it, and then we'll do some exercises with this also. First of all, we all have energy. We all know that. We understand that concept. Revitalization is like a breath of fresh air. It's energy that grows from its own inner potency. That is what is called revitalization. It is energy that is not lost, but it's used in a way that it grows from inside further. Very interesting. So it's the awakening of dormant potential within us, inspiring us to pursue our dreams and renew vigor. Let's be very clear about the concept. All I want you to write down in workbook 1 right now is revitalized energy permeates every aspect of life, including the 12 dimensions. Okay, so I'm assuming you will be almost done writing that down. Take your time. If I go fast at any time, just please unmute and just tell me to slow down or take a little break. I'll be happy to do that. It's perfectly okay. So as we begin to understand this concept, one of the most interesting aspects of this is to recognize the dormant potential within us. I hope you can see this slide. So underneath what you just wrote, write that question down. What is my dormant potential? Let's add the word my to that. What is my dormant potential? Let's understand the question carefully and clearly. Dormant means that it has not been active yet. Potential means potentiality, dormant potential. So revitalized energy is the awakening of the dormant potential within us. This is the idea. Now, we have all kinds of possibilities and potential within us. So the concept of dormant potential is what we want to open. We want to understand it, but individually, personally. When you wrote this down, what is my dormant potential? Now, create one sentence as an answer. Something simple. Don't make it complicated at all. Maybe something like, I can exercise more, or I can wake up earlier, or I can do more meditation, or I can do something better at work. Make it very simple. Something that pops up in the mind, that's some improvement just to get the process started. Right? So there's 2 things to understand the concept. What is dormant potential? And that is energy that is lying dormant, that can be awakened. So it's awakened energy that becomes active. So that energy becomes active to do different activities and to make our life better, to place that energy in the 12 dimensions. So before that's done, although we're in that process now, but to really do that, one has to understand for oneself my dormant potential that can become active. Now, having said that, maybe you wrote a small sentence down, and what you can do, as if you want to do this, is kind of up to you. But if you want to do more study on this for yourself. You can write a nice essay, you can write a couple of paragraphs. You can always take these slides and play around with them and really go into it during the week, right? Depending on the time that you may have. But for our purposes online, we just want to do small exercises that will get the process started. Okay, very good. Very good. Now, you'll notice something here that, let's go back here for a moment. Let's not do that one right now. Let's go to this one. So what I'd like you to write down next is the question, what is reservoir of power? Right? So we have a reservoir, just like a water reservoir that is filled with water, like a massive reservoir that has a lot of water in it. Similarly, we have in our brain, in our mind, in our body, in our legs and hands and every part of the physical body and the mind, there is energy there. But that energy is like a reservoir. And a lot of the times it is being wasted, it's being abused, it's being torn apart. So we don't want that to happen, right? So we need to understand the reservoir concept. That when we accumulate energy, we begin to build a reservoir. So that is called energy conservation. So write that down as the next bullet point. Energy conservation builds the reservoir of power. My energy conservation, energy conserved builds the reservoir. It allows the reservoir to develop. You can write it the way you want. Get the concept very clear. This is called energy conservation. Just as we're filling a tank with water, there's no leakage in the tank, the tank begins to fill up. That is not suppression or overindulgence or anything like that. It is conservation, accumulation of energy. See, we actually wind up wasting a tremendous amount of energy during the daytime, at nighttime also. Right? So we want to eventually stop all wastage. But that doesn't happen just like that. It takes its own time to understand. That's why we're going sequentially. Right now we're building the reservoir. So when we have this reservoir, when we are accumulating, then that same energy is used in a way that revitalizes itself. For example, these quantum qualities like compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, all these qualities, what do they do? Those qualities open up the reservoir and revitalize our energy. So now the next bullet point I want you to write down is dynamic flow of energy versus stagnation of energy. Dynamic energy versus stagnated energy. Write this next bullet point down, please. It's a very significant distinction between the two. Life can be and should be a dynamic flow of energy. If it gets stagnated, even though there could be accumulation, but there's no real good expression of it, we cannot do much with it. It's like having, even if there's a reservoir, but it's locked up, there's no access to it. It's not of any use to anybody. You're thirsty still. The thirst doesn't go away, even though thousands of gallons of water is right in front of you, but it's all locked up. There's no faucet. There's no access to it. That is stagnation. So stagnation in life, stagnated energy, stagnated time, stagnated, the sense of just feeling stuck. That is stagnation. If we feel that way, we want out of that space as quickly as possible. And that is the whole notion of revitalization. That's to activate and use energy in each of the 12 dimensions so that there is a transformative capacity. I want to go slow with it so there's no confusion. We need to unlock it and use it, but use it in a way that benefits us, not damages us or others. Doesn't damage the body, doesn't damage the mind, doesn't damage money, doesn't damage relationship, doesn't damage anyone. Just like when we take money out of a bank account.
Excuse me, Sachin, is there a slide for this?
No. I'm just talking about it. But actually, there are slides in here for that. There's actually additional, more detailed exercises that you can do on your own, like this diagram exercise. If we do this right now, then we'll need to spend 2-3 hours behind it. So I'm just kind of just talking about it. But yeah, but there are going to be more detailed slides. There are slides in here also. Just right now, I just want you to be aware of only two things: dynamic energy versus stagnated energy. Let's make that very clear. Make that distinction very clear as of right now. And if it's not clear to you, what is the difference? We're going to talk about it at 9:00 today. Make sure it's crystal clear, because this is one of the pivotal points. Stagnation in the 24-hour cycle is not going to be beneficial for us. It is keeping us trapped, stuck. It's keeping energy stuck. It's keeping our mind stuck, right? So we need to recognize where energy is stagnated. Maybe it is stagnated in the dimension 1 or dimension 5 or dimension 10. In some dimension, energy is stuck somewhere, and it's sucking. So sucking energy. So it's called energy vampire. So there's dynamic energy, there's stagnated energy, and then there is damaged energy. Third point. I want you to write this down, please. I'm going to stop the slideshare just for a moment. I want you to write this down carefully. Dynamic energy, stagnated energy, and damaged energy. 3 points. Because until these 3 points are clear, we're not going to be able to really revitalize our energy. The energy that is revitalized is the dynamic energy, not the other two. The other two need to come out of stagnation, out of the damaged zone into a dynamic flow, right? So what's a good example of this? Take, for example, regular movement of the body, walking, regular, good quality, recommended as per doctors, etc., to make the body healthier. Exercises of different kinds, movement is essential. So many people don't move. They don't move very well. So energy is stagnated. Just as a simple example, and easy to understand. And the more stagnated that energy becomes, that energy kind of gets, it gets stuck in different places and then our mood is damaged. The 12 dimensions are not getting the proper energy. They're not getting the right amount of energy. So as a result of that, there is, in fact, energy itself gets it begins to damage. It begins to get damaged. Now, what does that mean? Well, our brain has a lot of energy. The synapses don't work properly. The energy itself doesn't flow. Now, when I say energy damage, I'm putting that in quotes. Energy really cannot be damaged as such, but the flow of energy is damaged. The flow of energy in the brain and the flow of energy in the body is not happening properly. It's physiology. It's psychology, it's physiology, it's neuropsychology, it's cognitive neuroscience. Massive areas in the professional community are talking about these things. We can understand it in a straightforward way. When we say damaged energy, we mean it's the damage to the flow of energy. So write that down as the next bullet point. Make sure that's clear. Get it absolutely clear. So this is the kind of concept. This is a concept, not kind of. This is a very fundamental concept that needs to be crystal clear in my mind and in your mind. Not 99% clear, absolutely clear. The distinction among these three. Dynamic energy, stagnated energy, and damaged energy flow. This clarity needs to dawn. Now, having said this, having understood this, I want to make sure this is clear that our life, the 12 dimensions that we're talking about, we want dynamic energy in all 12. It's not going to be the same amount of energy. Let's be clear. That's not the case. It's not the same amount of energy. The amount of time and energy we spend in each dimension is going to vary, and it's individualized. based on one's passions, one's interests, one's desires, one's drives, one's so many things, right? So along those lines, let's go further here. Okay, just a moment here. Now look at this. This is very interesting. What is the fuel that drives my passions? Obviously, revitalized energy is the fuel that drives passions. Revitalized energy is what? What is revitalized energy? Let's talk about that a moment. When energy is dynamic, for example, take the walking example. Very simple example. Sachin begins to start walking half a mile every day, then 1 mile, it increases slowly. What is it that's happening with my energy flow? My dormant energy, which we talked about just a moment back, is now becoming active. And in that activity, it is unlocking more dormant energy. So it is energy that is unlocking more energy. Is it not so? That exercise opens up more energy, as an example. And this is just the exercise example. This is true in other areas. Like, for example, spending more time with the family, good quality time with the family will open more quality time with the family, will open more good quality feelings, etc. And more closeness. So that dynamic flow, it opens up more energy, and that opening of that additional energy connects with the energy that's already there, and then it forms a loop, and that's called revitalization. I hope that makes sense. The exercise example is very clear. In the beginning, it's difficult to do exercise, but when you start doing it, energy begins to unlock. And it unlocks and then it grows. Then you can actually do for a longer period of time. Why is that? Because energy is opening more energy. And in doing so, it is creating a dynamic loop. Of course, it's being utilized. Always. It has to be replenished. So the next bullet point I want you to write down, please, if you don't mind, is write down energy utilization equals dormant energy awakening. Utilization, you're using it. It's like a bank account. That's energy utilization. So there's a couple of points here. Energy utilization, energy revitalization, energy stagnation, and damaged energy flow. These are all points. You can write it any way you want. It's the clarity in the mind. It's not just on the piece of paper. We're doing it together. We want to make sure it is crystal clear. It should be as clear as just like a bell. Okay, now having said this, this concept about the energy needed to fuel one's passions and purpose and overcome obstacles. Yes, all of that. So next 3 bullet points: my passions, my purpose, and the third one is overcoming obstacles. Write those 3 things down, please. Right? So what are passions? These are our desires. The things that we want to see happen in life. These are our passions. And these passions, they cannot be fulfilled. They cannot be experienced until and unless our dynamic energy moves into a revitalized state. In a revitalized state, the time and effort and everything that is placed in there is joy in revitalized energy. This is the key point here. So that's the next point to write down. Revitalized energy equals joy. Right? So this revitalized energy illuminates our purpose. When we find our passions, our purpose, the things that drive us. And in doing so, obviously life has different obstacles, but the power to overcome them is from the revitalized energy. Certainly the stagnated energy is not going to help. And that's the trouble we have in life in general. I want to talk about this a bit. I want to make sure this is clear. Difficulties and obstacles and challenges are in front of us. But because energy is not in that revitalized, it's in that stagnated state, we are then forced to awaken it somehow to overcome the obstacle There's a conflict internally, just, internally in trying to open that energy. And then that obstacle itself is creating a problem. This is why we suffer. This is why so many difficulties are there when a challenge is in front of us, an obstacle is in front of us. But the obstacle will be seen as an opportunity when revitalized energy is there. The obstacle will be seen as a massive problem without revitalized energy. Doesn't matter in which area, family, relationship, anything, exercise, mental health, whatever, career, recreation, doesn't matter what it is. And there are always going to be some difficulties in our path in life. They're going to show up. But to perceive the obstacle as an opportunity for inner growth, that is what we're aiming for. So write that point down next. Obstacles equal opportunity for growth. So change the language internally. Do not be stuck with negative language like, oh, this is a problem, this is an obstacle, this is that. What will that do? That will stagnate energy right away. It'll stagnate our mind. We immediately, our own thinking and perception, when we say, oh, this is a problem, everything, we see things as problems, then it stagnates us right away. Change it from inside. How do we change it from inside? We see that, quote, situation, quote, obstacle, as an opportunity for growth, for dynamism. Change the perspective. That old expression, glass is half full, and glass is half full, and glass is half empty. Change that expression to glass is half full, glass is half opportunity. Change the expression. And when we change the expression, we begin to grow. We don't see the emptiness. We see that that's an opportunity. Otherwise, oh, this is missing. This is missing. So many people are thinking again and again, this is missing in my life. This is missing in my, or change it around. Take the right steps dynamically. This is a key concept in that overall central concept. This is one of the sub-concepts, right? So today, in the next 3 minutes, I want to make sure that we are in sync with each other on this point, right? So this is not a lecture. This is not a seminar. This is all of us deliberately, consciously taking our life further in a dynamic state, towards a dynamic state, and from there into a revitalized state. Remember the concept of revitalization. Revitalization is joy. Why is that? Because joy is the experience. There is a balanced state of energy flow, and it grows. The imbalance is not there really in the energy flow. You see, so even if there is an obstacle or there's a project to work on, yes, we work on it. There are activities to perform, but there is no damage to the flow of energy. So to be aware, this is the concept right now, and then we have exercises and things to do as we move ahead. To be aware, where am I getting stagnated? Look in the mirror. See the 12 dimensions. Look at workbook number 2. See the numbers. Where am I stagnated? It has to be a 100% genuine look. Forget about anybody else's opinion when you do this exercise. Although those things are important, but when we do the exercise, Sachin has to see Sachin completely. That where am I getting stuck? In which dimension am I getting stuck? Where am I getting worried and tense and I'm feeling trapped somewhere? I'm feeling that I cannot move ahead. What do I need to do? Now, along these lines, I have finally finished creating the general recommendations to enhance the 12 dimensions. It is on the WhatsApp right now. The rest of the recordings will be loaded on the website today or tomorrow. They range from 5 minutes to 15 minutes or so. And these are general guidelines. So they're fine. Now, remember one more thing, which I do want to mention in the 1 more minute here before we do our stretch exercise. If any of you need to have a one-on-one conversation about some area where you're getting stuck somewhere and you feel you cannot get out of that, we can have a conversation on Zoom confidentially, and I show you how to apply these principles, and then we can find a way out of that thing rather quickly. So it's the application that is the key. That's what personal transformation is about. So the transformation that we want to go through, we want to be in that state of revitalization to get to that point. You cannot just jump into that point. The steps are as follows. So write these steps down, please. Write down step one. Step one, recognize where I am stuck. Recognize where I'm getting stuck. My energies are stuck, stagnated. Recognize stagnation, step one. Recognize it honestly, openly. Recognize it. That's step two. Step two is to deliberately awaken energy, even when you don't want to. Like, for example, I decided to go for walks on a regular basis. I don't feel like doing it. No, ignore that and do it anyway. Especially things you don't feel like doing that you know you should be doing, you or I should be doing. To do that deliberately, don't get into a fight with yourself. Just do it. Just take the action. The feeling will change. Sachin might say, "Oh, I don't feel like exercising right now." So you don't feel like it. So what? Ignore that. It has no meaning. The decision has been made. Follow through. So that is how we awaken energy into a dynamic mode. That's step number two. Step number three is to consistently awaken and deliberately awaken dynamic energy, even more of it in each area. So, for example, have that nice conversation with your kids, or that additional loving conversation with your husband or wife. Don't just take people for granted. That's the family dimension. That's an example. And we're going to get into all these in much more detail. We're starting the process, or take that recreational walk. Recreational trip doesn't have to be a $5,000 trip to some exotic place. You can just go to a state park and with your family, or with the dog, or with the pet, or with your spouse, and that's also recreation. It's relaxation, recreation. Do it actually. So recognize stagnated patterns. That's the first step. Maybe you can put that expression there. Just put a dash and say recognize stagnated patterns. They have to be recognized. Without recognizing them, we will not be able to awaken our energies and place them where they need to be placed. And so that's the second, third step. Now, the final step is, as we awaken more energy, more energy gets awakened that connects with already that good mindset. So that is what creates revitalization. What is revitalization? Energy has been awakened. Good quality emotions, good quality thinking, good quality communication is awakened. And you do more of it. And when you do more of it awakens. And then eventually it sustains itself internally. That's where we want to get to. So when you wake up in the morning, you say, wow, what a fantastic day. You're just waking up with so much beautiful feeling inside. That's our immediate barometer. You're going to sleep at night saying, what a fantastic day I had. And you're really just going to sleep to rest. These are true direct barometers of energy revitalization, energy and dynamic flow, and also stagnation. They are direct barometers. All right. So now, with that, because time flows real fast here, we're going to do our little stretch exercise. We'll be talking a lot more about these ideas as we move ahead. So just a moment here. Just a moment. Okay.
I'm so glad you're joining us for a quick movement break.
Okay. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Now, you could please open workbook number 2. And remember, every week, what we are, the PTP program, what we're requesting you to do is to give a number from week to week, on a scale of 0 to 10, on these 12 dimensions, right? So you should, hopefully you're doing this. If you need any assistance with this, please let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you. I've spoken to some people already about this. These are common to all of us, and we want to give a rating every week in workbook number 2 and then in the Excel spreadsheet. And then eventually we'll be able to give a nice tally of those numbers, right? So every week, you're going to try to increase some of these dimensions, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, but rate all of them. See where you are in all of them. Take a bird's eye view and then start working on 1 or 2 or 3 of them. As I mentioned, the general guidelines have been recorded. They're available on the WhatsApp and will be available on the website. And then on top of that, here in our live program, we're going to talk about various dimensions. These are just our general slides here as we move along here. So the career dimension, we did talk about this a bit further. Just to kind of do a quick review of these 12. That's what we're going to do today, just to get a little bird's eye view. So in workbook number 2, I want you to write this down, 1-career, okay? And from the right side here, just write down one thing that you think might be applicable for you. And if it's not applicable right now, it's okay. It may be applicable in some other way, right? So these are just general guidelines. If they're not applicable right now, it's okay. Just keep it blank there, and you'll have to write something for yourself, like what to do in career development, right? So this is career. You can select one of these things, attend workshops or seminars, or pursue certification or CEUs, or increase expertise. If you're retired, you can still stay in touch with the career that you were in or some other area of your interest or hobby, and that's also all right. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to draw a little picture here in workbook number 2. All right, so we're going to draw a large tree. So what I'd like you to do in workbook number 2, on a blank page there, you're going to draw a tree that represents your career as it stands now, or maybe the way it was. And then you can draw it that way also, and you can reflect on it that way. Right? So that's fine. And label the trunk as current skills and experience. Right? So label the trunk that way. This is step number 1. If I'm going too fast, please do let me know. Now, if you're retired, you can still label this in terms of the skills and experience you had. What was it? And then that'll be useful for some other development later on if you want to use it in some way. But you can still make the diagram. All right, so make a large tree, make it the way you want. The tree represents you and your career as it stands now. Label the trunk as current skills and experience. So make that label that is in yellow, please. Okay. So take your time with this. And again, all of these slides will be available to you. This recording will be available to you. I'll be available for you if you need any assistance with anything. Right? All right. So hopefully, and don't make the tree too complicated. Keep it relatively simple. And I'll give you another couple of seconds here to just write that in yellow, current skills and experience. And we all have them. It doesn't matter what stage it is. Even if you're a student, like in high school or something, then you may not have a career, but going to school is like a job, kind of. So you can think of it that way. So there's some modifications that definitely can be made based on, where you are, who you are, what's going on, things like that. Okay, step number 2, label the roots. So below the surface, draw roots spreading out from the tree. Each root represents the foundational skills and knowledge you've gained that have brought you to your current role. Okay, so that's what those roots are. So label each root with a specific skill or experience. You can do this as a homework exercise, but just start it off right now. Make a couple of roots underneath the tree and label the root. Make a little arrow, or you can put a little bubble. Make a nice picture the way you want, like kids do. Keep it simple, but this is your tree. Label each root with a specific skill or experience. You have your own training, or you've already had training. What skills do you have? What experiences do you have? Because it's on that basis that the tree of career actually develops. So that's the step number 2. So take your time. And remember, you can actually get nice drawing pads and make really nice pictures out of this. You can do it online if you want also. You can even make a poster. That would be a fantastic thing. We would love to have people do that. We're going to have lots of drawing exercises from this point on forward, all the way to week number 13. All right, so make sure you have some colored pens and pencils and stuff like that if you want to make some nice pictures. But right now, since we're online, we have limited time. We're just getting the process started. As a homework assignment, you're going to really embellish these trees. Okay. So this is step 2. And all you're writing there are labeling specific experiences and skills. Those are the roots. This is step number 2. Step number 3. Draw the branches of the tree. Make in the branches, draw some branches there. The branches of your tree represent different potential directions for growth and development. So whoever you are, when wherever I am in my life also, there are many, many, many ways that growth and development can occur. So draw it out. So sketch out several branches and label each one with a skill, role, or area you're interested in exploring or developing further. Again, homework exercise. So every week now, from this point on, there's going to be drawing exercises like this. We can make the drawing, and you can also write a paragraph or two. This is going to stay with you. This is you being genuine with yourself, right? So you want to put the skills and roles you're interested in exploring and developing further. Because just as the branch is going to grow, like a tree is growing, this is the dynamic flow. You'll see how the connection is with our dynamic energy growth, right? So skills, roles, and areas that you are interested in exploring, or you might be required from the job to develop it further, that your managers have said, you've got to take these courses, or you've got to develop these skills, or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. There's something new that you're going to do. Do it with revitalized energy and joy. So these might be based on current role or completely new areas also. These are the branches. Right, so actually, this kind of an exercise is very powerful, because when you have a nice, good piece of paper, and you could just start it off in workbook number 2 right now, that's fine, because this is one of the 12 dimensions. But if you take a nice big poster, like a medium-sized poster board, and get some nice colored pen, and really maybe put some music on, have a small candle, have a quiet place, and really make this for dimension 1, career. Where am I? Let's put all the pieces in. You'll see all the different thoughts that come about. And when you begin to look at it and then listen to the general recommendations that are available in the podcast, Spotify podcasts, right? So you can listen to that. There's also lots of other ways to look at it. And so you can see for yourself, where is your career in a pictorial form, and you're going to make the picture, make it a nice, colorful picture. And so that's a homework exercise for this week. Make a nice, colorful picture with these branches and the skills and areas of growth, and you can make bubbles and you can make notes, and it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to do. You can always do it with a family member if you want to. You can do it by yourself if you want to. When we draw out a picture, things become even more clear for us. And we are the ones who are the creator of the picture of the tree, and we are the ones who are creating our career. This is dimension 1 we're looking at. Right? So be very specific. Now, there's one more point I want to mention here. As you're writing things down in the picture, and just write down a couple of things now to get started, but you have to think about it a little bit. It's not like an instantaneous thing. Set aside, schedule on the Google Calendar or on your paper calendar, set aside a good half an hour this week to make this diagram as beautiful and as perfect as you can make it. And that's going to help you and help me also to really recognize what are my next steps in career in dimension 1. So this is an exercise to be done as a homework assignment. My humble request to all of you is to schedule a half an hour this week sometime to make this diagram as complete as you can make it. And you will then also be able to list the steps that need to be taken to increase the number that you've given in dimension 1. And also get a bird's eye view of the other 11 dimensions. You may not be working on them as actively, but we're still living through them. We're eating food and we're moving around, and but try not to burden yourself all at one time. Keep it simple. Work on one thing at a time. If you want to do more than one dimension, that's also okay. Because so many thoughts are going to come up. Our mind is so fast. 20 thoughts might come up within a minute or so about what to do. Write them down. Then schedule things out. But in our exercises here, we cannot cover all 12 dimensions in one session, nor should we try, right? But when you are giving an assessment, you are seeing your life in a holistic manner, one at a time, deciding to do these exercises, And they will all intersect. All the concepts and ideas intersect. Right? So no tree can develop without energy. It's a dynamic, steady growth. This is a key point. So I want you to write this down somewhere. Just make an asterisk and put that in bold letters. Dynamic and steady growth. Not dynamic and this super excited growth that doesn't really grow very much. You just get really excited, put a lot of energy into it, and then it all fizzles out. Not that. So write that down, please. And also write down underneath that process-oriented mindset. Please write that down underneath this point. These ideas need to be internalized for me and for you. They're not just ideas. They're not just good ideas. They are to be experimented with. Right? So these exercises are just the beginning. Then the implementation comes. All right. Very good. Step 4. We're going to draw the leaves. So draw leaves on the branches. Each leaf represents a specific opportunity or action step. That's what I was just talking about. What are we going to do? And this is why it's good to have different colors if possible. You can easily get some colored markers or highlighters, or do it the way you want. You know how to do that. Do it any way, which way you want. And we're going to have some models available a little bit later on to, for that kind of give some guidance also in this. But I think this is pretty self-explanatory. So draw leaves on the branches. Each leaf represents a specific opportunity or action step you can take to grow towards the new skill or new role or further development of a role that represented by the branch. So the branch has a particular skill or a role, then the leaf is, what's the step am I going to take? Like I'll just use my example. If I say that, okay, I'm going to develop this PTP program, that's fine. So I can put, different stems on there, different things I can write in there. But then the action steps are the leaves. Do this, do this, do this. And this is what I do every day. I try to put in specific things I need to do to get to where we want to get to with this whole program. So, right? So these could be like taking a course, finding a mentor, reading a book, any concrete step. That's the key. This is why I humbly requested all of you to get the Google Calendar or use a physical calendar where you can have organized, where we can organize the action steps. We don't want to just remain in the conceptual world. We don't want to just have the tree drawn with the various branches. We want the leaves in there. We want the action steps. Really, what's going to be done? Let's plan it out, write it out, and get it done. Then that is a dynamic flow of energy. So this is step number 4. Okay, we have 9 more minutes left. I'm going to really try to stick to time here, because that's another important point. It's something which I've also tried to really be mindful of. I'm trying to be even more mindful because I have a tendency to go way beyond time. So it's important to stick to time. Everyone's time is precious, right? Things like that. So, by the way, I do want to mention one more thing. Even though Sachin is presenting these things are for me first. I have no authority to talk about this to anybody unless I'm trying it myself, doing it myself. So we're doing it together. We're sharing together, we're progressing together, we're contemplating together, we're growing together into this extraordinary state of self-mastery. All right. Step number 5, add colors to your tree. Now add colors to your tree. The trunk and the roots should be colored with a solid, darker color, representing your established foundation. And you can do this later on if you don't have colors and all that right now. The branches should be colored with lighter colors, representing the potential for growth. The leaves can be green or any bright color to symbolize opportunities for growth. And this is how you make a beautiful, your own tree. This is for dimension 1. So this is a drawing exercise that pictorially will represent the growth in dimension 1. And there's a lot of ideas that are going to come up. Write them down. This is what the workbooks are for. I would strongly recommend getting a separate drawing pad or a drawing notebook So you can make nice pictures in there. And you can also do this online. If you're savvy with the paint program and stuff like that, you can do it online if you want to. That's fine too. But do it. And if you really just want to do black and white in the notebook too, that's fine too. Do what's comfortable. Get it started somehow. All right. Now, with that, I'm going to, just one moment here. Let me go back to the presentation. So with that, we are going to look at quantum transformation number 5 today. So please take out your 3x5 card. And remember what the homework exercise was, right? Is to make that tree diagram comprehensively. You're going to get these slides as soon as I'm done with this right now. So hold on one moment here. All right, so in the 3x5 card for today, this is week number 5. Please write down quantum transformation principle number 5, integration. This is the principle for this week that we are going to read 3 times every day before having a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can just say QTP number 5, integration, and I'll give you a moment to write that down. And you got the card in front of you, and this is the integrated principle. Integration refers to the process of combining different aspects of oneself, such as thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, into a coherent and harmonious whole. Integration is a key component of psychological well-being and is essential for achieving a balanced and fulfilling life. So please write that down. That's all you need to write down. So take your time with this. Integration, it is a process. This is what we're talking about. It's a dynamic activation of energy, as we said in the beginning part of today's presentation. And we want to integrate it into a harmonious whole. So all the different aspects of who we are, they all connect well together into a harmony, into a harmonious whole. And when that happens, psychological well-being occurs, and that affects our health also. And that is essential for balance and fulfillment. That's what this is a principle. It's a quantum principle that Dr. Chetna, Kripalu, and I, as well as Dr. Berman, the 3 of us worked on these for about a year, almost 2 years to pull these together. We've identified 52 of them after extensive discussion. So this is not something we pulled out, out of the blue from somewhere. And there's quite a bit of research behind these principles also that will be available in the Foundations of Angel Wing book. Right, so I'll give you another minute or so to write this down. Integration is the process of combining different aspects of oneself, thoughts, behaviors, emotions, etc., into coherent and harmonious whole. Who is that whole? You, me, inside. Harmony. It's an inner harmony, right? This is the key. So if you want to just write something else on that card, if you don't mind, just write a question. Where is my inner harmony? Or how do I develop my inner harmony? Something like that. Write it the way you want. Write a question about your own inner harmony, because that's our target. Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. So we're going to not do all this right now. Hold on. I'm going to skip this stuff. And then you've got the central concept that you're going to read 1 time daily, maybe before going to sleep or maybe in the morning. Just read the sentence 1 time. You don't have to even think about it. Eventually, it'll just get programmed and your mind will automatically start thinking about it. You'll see how amazing it is. All right. And with that, time to put some money in your vitamin M envelope. This is a massive concept. We're going to go deep into this in the next sequence of 13 weeks. We're just getting the process started right now. Put a fixed amount of money, $10, $15, something in there. Don't spend any of it and label it vitamin M. And in week number 12 and 13, we're going to talk about how to use that money as a vitamin. It's a very powerful, tremendous concept. And having said that, we are really on time here. So this is really great. So the fantastic Never Give Up inspirational song. We use the same song every time because we want that to be part of our mental life, our inner life. So here we go.